Welcome to the Founders Lounge, where business meets bullshit and everything in between. One of these days, I'm going to record him doing that.
I love it.
Just so that people can
That was
see
a nice intro,
wasn't
honestly.
it?
No, he
Yeah.
does it every time. I'm
Yeah,
not. It doesn't drive me nuts.
similar.
It just
Yeah,
makes me
very
smile.
nice. Yeah.
It feels very
Yeah,
official.
it's good. Really good.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Founders Lounge. We have a returning guest, Mr. Jonathan Weathington. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I don't really know yet.
Okay.
It's been a long week, but
Okay.
really long week.
By 5 today, you'll know.
By 5 today, I should have a beer and maybe a bourbon. in
So
me,
then you'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. It's hot, man. I can't drink that shit in the heat. Can you drink
Oh.
bourbon in the summer?
Yes,
I'm
but
not
I
a
drink it
bourbon
with it.
drinker.
I'm
You're
the
not a
guy that
bourbon
puts
guy?
a rock on it, and I know folks that are anti just drink it neat. But
Drink it how you want, man.
that's how us. I mean,
Yeah.
40-something years old. I'm gonna drink it the way I want to. But
It's
I'm not a beer
tequila
guy,
only
but a
for
couple
me.
like
Oh, a
ice
couple
cold
light
beers
beers,
in the summer
man.
is good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't drink them all night. I can't really drink that much anymore,
Yeah.
period. But I can't drink bourbon in the heat. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I don't do dark
It
liquor.
doesn't
No
go.
dark
sip
liquor
it.
for me.
I can sip it. But yeah.
Ugh. All right, I got a cool topic that I wanted to bring you in today, man, and it's something that I've been asked about here recently, quite a few times actually. It's something that I've gotten wrong, probably more than I've gotten right, for sure. But I want to talk about what I call executivitis and the struggles with, I'll say, smaller emerging brands hiring an executive team. You're the CEO of a food brand that originated here in Wilmington.
Mhm.
You've been with them quite a while, so I know you've got the clout to speak on this because I'm sure you've struggled with it, same as me,
For
same as
sure.
many other people. And you know what I don't want to do is throw shade at those
No,
groups of
no.
individuals, but I think times have changed. They're not the same anymore, and it's getting harder and harder to find those right fits. And I think the process has actually changed, like the recruiting. What's the word I'm looking for? Like recruiters and headhunters and stuff have gotten more and more popular.
Yeah.
There's more and more people doing it.
More expensive.
They're
More
more
expensive.
expensive.
Yep.
The pool of people available has shrunk, so there's not as many of them available, and it's getting harder and harder to find the right fit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as a startup or when you're in startup mode, I mean, I've been with Shuck for 11 years next month, and you're always looking for a silver bullet until you realize that a silver bullet doesn't exist.
Hmm.
Right.
Amen.
It doesn't,
Amen.
It doesn't
Yeah.
exist. You've got to make hires for the most part from within, and I think promote. And those people are elite because they know your brand culture. They know what things need to fit where. And whenever you're bringing someone in from the outside, it becomes an issue of this person mechanically may have all the right things on their resume, have proven themselves at other concepts, but that doesn't mean that they'll conceptually fit with what you have going on. And there's such a huge disconnect there. I think the cultural fit is completely undervalued.
Extremely
Completely
undervalued.
undervalued. Yeah.
I know one of the things that I've struggled here with recently with, I'll call it the last 3 to 5 years, in finding different people to sit in the right seats, is the difference between an executive that came from a corporate run business
Mm-hmm.
to a franchise run business.
Yes.
And there is a major, major disconnect there.
I was going to ask, because you guys are both in positions with the franchise where you've been over a decade. And one of the things, and with you two, as well as brands that we've worked with, is you see this kind of acceptance of serial CEOs
Mhm.
too, where it's
Mhm.
been normalized. And I think that what you're saying, Jonathan, is the brand culture. There are like kind of technical, hey, they hit all the boxes, but you can't get brand culture when you're in and out of a place every 2 years. I'm sorry. It's just one of those things. And you can get a little taste of it. And I think, to Don's point, absolutely, the recruiters have kind of made us believe that get a good 2-year run, see what happens after that. It's just such a short cycle for something that's been around over a decade and has really built itself to a cultural standpoint. I guess my question for you guys is, how do you cut through that BS and say they hit all the check boxes and we feel like they will also be a good cultural fit when you're hungry to take that next level?
I mean, I think for me, looking at that person's history and what they've done elsewhere, like you said, kind of the check boxes and the mechanical fit oftentimes is there. I mean, the CEO role especially is very interesting. But then under that, you have COO, CFO, CIO, and then all the other CXO, all the other C-suite positions.
Yeah.
And it's really like, okay, who is set up for what, right? Because I think there's a big C-suite movement of people out there that only come in and rescue companies, right? They're only there for the turnarounds.
And there's a need for that.
And there's a need for that.
Right.
And that is a very specific skill set. It's not a skill set that I've certainly developed yet, but they're only there to rescue and do turnarounds and work with private equity or VC or whatever it may be. And that specific person may not be a great fit for a company that's on the up and up, that's experiencing the hockey stick growth.
Yeah.
No, you may not be as well capitalized as some of these legacy brands that are publicly traded or have been turned over several times in PE, but you know exactly who you are. And I think the second you start compromising on what I would consider brand identity and customer messaging, and I call it kind of the customer promise, right? If we make a promise to our customers, to our guests, then everywhere up, all the way up rather, should cascade all the way up through the C-suite. And if you bring in an executive that's only accustomed to turnarounds and whatever it may be, then that customer promise may suffer, because there's going to be directives and different things that cascade down into your V role, your vice president role, your B roles, your Ds, directors, and that's going to change what that customer experience feels like. And all of a sudden you're a few months in and you're like, holy shit, this is not who we are. Like, this is not who we are at all.
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons that happens, because of you're talking about two different people, right?
Right. No question.
There's a need for those guys that come in and turn brands around, in quotes. Those are guys that have big backgrounds with big, sexy brands and a ton of resources.
Tons of resources.
So, like, for me to go hire a Chipotle exec today, it's not going to be the right fit. One, we don't have the budget. We don't have the resources and the infrastructure that somebody's like that's used to, and all those things. And then they also, not to say that all of them don't, but most of them, they're not going to actually build the playbook that to follow that you need to get to where you want to go. It's already been written for them. They've just created a knack, and most of them are pretty good at it to do it, to come in and use it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But they struggle trying to find that brand identity.
I've got a question for both you guys, because I'm in an interesting side of it. I don't own a franchise. We work with franchises, but I know Dawn very well, and Jonathan, I know you a bit through Dawn. Do you guys? I'm going somewhere with this. Do you guys ever watch like the shows like Bar Rescue or Kitchen Nightmares, where we've kind of become this kind of must fix it culture? Do you guys think that as business owners now and business people, that the idea of the next level always means everything needs to be fixed? And some of these CEOs are playing on this idea of, hey, if the only solution you have is a hammer, every problem becomes a nail across the entire system. How the hell do we stop you just said it earlier, like, there is no silver bullet, man.
Right. There's not.
But you can whittle away at true needs and true, improvements. But how do you weed through this idea that the C-suite in general, exactly, it's not just CEO, but executive level marketing and so forth, that your first job isn't to come in and just start destroying.
That's right. Take a sledgehammer to everything.
the load-bearing walls for the sake of making a room.
That's right.
What did you guys do to answer that? Because you both have been in this. Well, I know I could clean.
My answer may be unique, and the only reason I say it may be unique is because of our company and the way the model itself, the way that it operates. Exactly. It's very unique. There's a ton of moving parts.
Yeah.
There's 5 revenue streams in the business. I've always said, I don't know if that's a one-man job. Like, if you take my role, for example, I'm currently now existing CEO. I don't mess with the food side of our business. I couldn't tell you all of the details that's in our MDA with our food contract.
You don't have time to learn it.
I don't. Because it's going to
evolve too.
And so like, I've made bullshit comments in the past that I didn't want somebody to come in and just, hold our team accountable and be a puppeteer. You know what I mean? But in some instances, you almost need that, because that's the best way that it can be done sometimes. So, I mean, for me right now, I know that I can't manage 25 people in our office. I can't. I don't have the bandwidth. But I can manage 4. And so if I keep a very consistent schedule with those 4 on a week-to-week basis, following up with them, following up with what their teams are doing, And then we have a weekly leadership meeting, and I get informed of what's going on, knowing that my wife, who has her own lanes and her own responsibilities, has that under control. I don't have to worry about it. I get in positions sometimes where I feel dumb and somebody will ask me a question. I'm like, CEO of the company, I don't know the answer to that.
I say
But
I
at
don't
times,
know so
I'm not
much.
supposed to. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know how you guys.
I mean, it's one of my biggest pet peeves, and it's not just on the C-level side. It's on the vendor partner side, where there's always this assumption that there's something wrong all the time, right? And so when I get, I mean, I'm sure you get more than me, but like think about cold outreach emails and LinkedIn messages and all those things, 25 to 30 a day, probably something like that on the sales side. And the tone of the emails, the tone of the messaging, and I'm going to connect it to the C-suite here in a second. The tone of the messaging is, you have a problem with X. Here's how you solve it. We can do that. And my response is always, how do you know we have a problem with X? Like, what we're doing is working. You don't necessarily need to peel back everything all the time. You know, I think the company, or even anything that you have going on within the four walls of your office, or just your brand as a whole, is built far more like a car. You don't go trade in a car every time something's wrong with it. You fix parts here and there, you adjust, you tighten, you loosen, you change out things.
Exactly.
And that's one of my biggest pet peeves. And I think it happens in the same way in bringing in an outside executive. And it can be at the VP level, it can be at the director level. We're not just talking about C-suite. Someone that comes in and says, I don't like the way you're doing inventory. We need to change the whole system. We're like, hey, it's working. We don't need to change it. I know you did that at brand Y, but this is how we're doing it here. Right. Focus on something different. And I think that for me, it's the same way. Like, I say, I don't know, oh gosh, dozens of times a day. But also the other side of it is, I'm not supposed to know.
The other thing that annoys me in the context of what you just gave is the mindset of status quo, that just because it was done this way at brand X doesn't mean
that's exactly right.
that industry standard is going to work here, because 9 times out of 10 it doesn't.
And to your point about the pitch, because we get them on behalf of franchises, and I will tell you, the old sales, phrase of, what is it? The idea of fear. Mm-hmm. Fear of losing sells more than the prospect of gain.
Right.
They're using that when they're like, they're just assuming that you're having issues and they're going to fix it. Therefore, now they're a viable purchase.
That's right.
How do you, I mean, how long did it take for you guys to see through that bullshit? Or are we still like, because where I live is young franchises in a certain way. And I'm able to say, hey, listen, I'm telling you, I have friends in the industry that have been doing this for a lot longer than you. Those kind of pitches aren't going away, and you're going to have to get a little kind of tune some of this stuff out, because there's always going to be room for improvement. But what they want and what they're proposing is not needed at this part of your journey. How long did it take you guys to, or are you still going through it?
I mean, I think it's ever evolving. I think it's really deep alignment with your operations and marketing team. If we're talking about specifically on the sales pitch side, and saying, these are the 3 or 4 things that we're doing this year or this quarter or this half of year, these 2 quarters, whatever it may be. And if we get approached on the outside from something and it doesn't fit within those 3 or 4 boxes, or 2 or 3 boxes, or sometimes it's just one box, we need to fix this and only this. And that's the only thing we're wholly focused on. If it doesn't fit within that box, then we just delay it. I mean, I had a call yesterday with someone that I've been talking to for over a year, and I just said, we're not ready. This is something we're going to do, but we're not ready. Call me in December. And because I know that if I take my eye off the ball, so to speak, or if I take my focus away from the current things that we're working on and transitioning with, then the only thing that's going to do, it's going to eliminate my time. It's not just a project that I'm going to lead. I'm going to have to involve the operations side. I'm going to have to involve the marketing side. And it's just going to take everyone's focus and zap their energy, zap their time, and redirect them into something that is less important. And so for me, you're just seeing through it. And then on the other side of it, I pretty much only work on referrals now. It's so very rare that I jump on a quick call for 10 to 15 minutes with someone who reaches out to me from a cold email. Like, I do a lot of work behind the scenes and reaching out to other brand presidents or operation side and saying, have you work with these people. They mentioned you in their email. Tell me the whole story. Tell me the real story. And if it checks out, it checks out. And I'll email them back and say, I talked to my friend over here or a colleague that I know. And yeah, I'd be happy to talk about it, but not right now. Reach back out to me in November.
I
Reach
love
back out to me in December.
you know,
Sorry, go ahead. So you're talking about different vendor. Are you talking about vendors or actually hires?
I think both, actually. I think the same thing works for both because, you know, I mean, I haven't used a resume or cover letter or a reference sheet in a long time, but you're only going to put people on there that say good things about you, right? But if I can look at someone's resume and know that they worked at X brand, and I know someone at, let's say, director or VP level or above in that brand, I'm not going to call their reference. Why would I call their reference? I'm going to call the person that I know.
I'll get to resumes in a minute. That's a big one for me. I'm at my wit's end. With
Did you notice how Don said, sorry, you go ahead. So you're talking about, that was great, man. So, okay, let me get my one word in edgewise for people watching. Disciplined objectives, man. That's the way to set a defined objective and stay committed and disciplined to it, knowing that you can get to the other shit later.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a simple thing that I, even as a business owner, forget. Just define.
So we have screwed this up so many times. I have a new process of doing it now.
What's yours?
It's not even, people are going to hear this. They're going to be like, hey, that's kind of weird. But the first thing that we've learned how to do is listen to our team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What?
Listening to our team.
I'm joking.
And getting, like, you asked the question a minute ago, how do you find it faster?
Yeah.
The only way to do that is to read the temperature of your team, right? And we've gotten it wrong to the point where we didn't feel that temperature fast enough. And so I've learned from
That's
that
a great
mistake.
way of putting it too, man.
And it's not to say that all the feedback you're going to get is right or correct, but you have to listen to it. And then you've got to do something that just lasts 30 days. It's that new for me that I've had to learn how to do, and it's recognize patterns. Like the screensaver on my freaking phone says, see patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned how to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, if this person is telling me this, how many times is he telling me this? Or how many times am I noticing after he says that it's happening? And I've learned how to do just literally in the last 30 days. And then I'm being careful.
It's a touchy subject.
Off, man. Yeah.
Then, I don't know, like you mentioned resumes, you know, when I work with a recruiter now, which I've got one that I use consistently, I've had to tell him when he would send me a candidate for a certain position, he would put all these accolades like baseball stats. And then I would get this beefed up resume. And I'm like, Chris, I don't even want that shit anymore.
Yeah, but how long you been in the league? Like
Yeah.
you're gonna accumulate.
I don't
stats
care.
if you
I
What's
don't-
it,
put in
paper
time.
champs?
For me,
Right.
my
Paper champ.
Yeah, there
famous
you go.
quote now is, I don't care what they've done for another brand.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I want to know what they're capable of, but I don't weigh it by that. I'm going to know what I want them to come in. I want to see what they can do here in this brand. And then I want to see them do it. That's important to me. And I'm going to know based off their LinkedIn account, their Facebook, I'm going to know who they are as a person.
Absolutely.
Not by
no
some
question.
beefed up bullshit resume that
Yeah.
I can go on ChatGPT and fill out a CEO resume right now in 30 seconds
Look
while we're
dynamite.
talking. Yeah. And then hand it into a recruiter, and
Be
it's going to look
hired.
pretty badass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. We've had episodes where we talk about rationale versus emotion to a degree of like how you remove that and just hit the objective with the team. But it's impossible to remove, to what you're saying, man. Like you need to know, you got a little intuition that has to come into this stuff, man.
No question.
It can't just be stats on paper and then that's what gets them in completely.
If
'Cause
it
we've
doesn't
seen it.
feel right, a lot of times it's not right.
Yeah.
And you can recognize those things. I think people can only pretend for so long. And they can only, you know, one of my life kind of mantras is experience is only necessary when competency isn't available. And so making
great.
sure that you
pretty
have
good.
you
Can
have
we use that for a
competency.
t-shirt? Put that on a
Yeah,
shirt.
do it to
man.
it, man.
Yeah.
So I'll take some royalties from that. But when you have competency, the experience, now there's nothing that replaces experience. Don't get me wrong. But for me in my position, like I became CEO at 29. Like I didn't have any C-level experience whatsoever, like none, zero. But I had the competency to figure out portions. And at that time, I was essentially acting in multiple roles because that's what you do in a startup. Like I learned all the operations. I learned how to do the things in the locations. I stayed connected with the front line. I stayed connected with the guest experience. And then I started learning the marketing side. I started learning all these other side. I started learning the tech side. But to me, that gave me a really good foundation. And then I developed the competency. And from that competency, I've been able to capitalize and create experience where you bring in someone from the outside, just like you said earlier, that has had unlimited funding, the system's already set in place. There may be a deep experience there. The experience does not equal competency. And so I think if you can find that person, promote from within, I'm telling you, those are elite hires because they have been near the front lines. They know exactly what's going on in your locations. And then it's no longer the Peter principle, right? Peter principle says just because they excelled at this role means they're ready for the next one up, right? It means they're automatically going to be prepared. That's not always the case, but that's a horse to bet on, right? They're connected with the front lines. They know what's going on. It makes all the sense in the world that, okay, you have mastered this role and no one does anything perfectly. You have mastered this role. You have competency in this role. You have experience in this role. Time for you to move up. And if it doesn't work, you just move back down because everyone has a threshold for exactly what they want to do. It's an extremely stressful position.
Something that I just recently was taught, and I say taught, Yvonne and I use kind of a high performance coach, Rudy. Rudy's been on the show before, and he's kind of coached us through this a little bit. And one of the things that he taught us, which I loved, just the way that he explained it, I loved it. So I'm not taking credit for this. This was him. But I the analogy, you'll get it, is on that. How do you know when somebody's ready to move up into a higher role like that? Is when they're exceeding 100% of their capabilities in the current role they're in.
Yeah, no question.
So like if they're only operating at their current position at 60 to 70%, you're doing them more harm than good by promoting them because then they're only going to be operating at 30 to 35% in the higher role.
At most.
So if they're, pick a position, but if they're, going way above and beyond and doing things even outside of their role that's improving their job, they're ready to move up. Then they're ready. But if you're constantly having to follow up with them and they're missing deadlines and they're good hires, but they still have time to learn and grow, they're not ready to move up.
Yeah, I look at people ready to move up as connectors, meaning if you have, let's say your business is split into operations, finance, and marketing. If you've got an operations person or a marketing person or a finance person that has mastered that role to at least 100%, I'm looking for connectors, meaning people that are saying, this is how the run of the business affects me on the finance side. Now I'm starting to learn how it affects me, how it affects the marketing side. Now I'm learning how it affects the operation side. And they're actually internally leading and saying, okay, I know this decision was made for the benefit of me, but I really need to push back on the CEO or I need to push back on my boss and say, hey, this may be good for me, but here's what it's going to do for the rest of my team. Like those people are invaluable, man. The people that can understand that flow of business and how it can have kind of a macro impact on different departments. Those are studs.
We I'll just say it, our art director, so he's for creative, he's got a business mind to understand how it'll affect other projects. Right. And you're 100% right. That predictive business sense, that acumen of like, it's not just a project in front of me. Right. It's how it's going to affect 20 other people in the chain.
One of the things we started to do, which was very important to me because a lot of the corporate staff or support staff that we have in the brand now, they've been with us for 4 or 5 years. A lot of these guys have been around.
Yeah.
We've been very lucky, very fortunate for that. So a lot of them are looking for growth. They're looking for an avenue to go into. And so knowing that they're not ready for that, we kind of help them figure out a pathway to get there.
That's awesome.
And like, okay, sit down with them and say, where do you want to be here in 3 years? What's your goal? Like, no matter how big it is, you want my job? How do you get there? You can have my job.
You're showing them it's not a dead end job and there's culture behind their personal growth, man. Sure. I love it. Like it's, the
issue you run into though is eagerness.
Yeah.
They
for
get
sure.
too eager too fast.
I've one of the pet peeves of, maybe my staff is that sometimes I do a reset when I do one-on-ones or I sit down with them. And they've started to laugh about it now because I ask it in every single interview that I ever give. Every single interview that I ever give, I'll say, hey, you showed up for the job. Obviously, everyone that sits in this seat, everyone is qualified to do the job. We're looking for the right fit. I'm going to ask you this question, and it cannot be related to this job. It can't be related to this job. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Meaning, every job paid the same on the planet. What do you want to do?
That's a great question.
And then their answer back from that often gives me an opportunity to see, okay, this person is coming in at, let's just say they're even an intern, someone that is really good with video or production or marketing or graphic design or whatever it may be. And they look at you and they say, I want to do this right now, but in 5 years, I really want to learn business analytics. I'm really, really interested. I have a minor in that. This is where I want to grow. And I'm thinking, okay, there's a pathway there. I can bring them in on this side. They're going to be a cheap hire initially, right? From an intern or entry-level position. But I know that's a person that may become a connector in the system eventually because they have lived what that design or production or whatever role it may be. And then they want to connect it to the financial side. They want to connect it to the operation side. And so what do you want to do? And I don't want to hear an answer about, I want to come in and be the best graphic designer on the planet. Like, that's not what I'm looking for. I want to know, what do you want to do?
Sure. No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what we started to do. We started to sit down and ask these guys, what pathway, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
I didn't ask the question the same way, but
right.
was looking
Very
for the
similar.
same outcome.
Yeah.
I want to get into compensation and have a conversation around that, because a lot of people, excuse me, that are up and coming, they're trying to get, to the next level. They can't afford to bring in expensive leadership, obviously. So along the way, Shuck and Shack, how have you guys gotten around bringing these people in that, whether they're worth it or not, that's a whole nother discussion.
Sure, yeah.
We can get sarcastic about that. But, have you come up with creative ways to compensate these guys to get these leaders in position?
Yeah, I think it's quality of life. A couple stats first. I will say that I cheated and looked this up this morning, so it doesn't sound like I'm a savant or anything. Yeah, but
we're transparent here, man.
So CEO pay since 1978 has increased by over 1,000%.
It's crazy.
And average worker pay since 1978 has only increased about 24%. So when you're looking at this huge daft in between C-level pay and average worker pay, like, something's got to give, right? And so, like, us as a startup, you guys originally, when you start up, like, it's tough. Like, every dollar goes back in the business. Like, I think, especially on the franchise side, I think people think when you start bringing royalties in, you're lining your pockets. You're not. You're using that as operational capital.
Yeah.
You're spending
To
quite
support the
literally
growing
every
system.
dollar
Yeah.
to support the growing system, to make your next critical hire. For us, some of the ways that we've done it has just been quality of life things. I mean, truly, I mean, we have an office. It's not far from here. And for me, it goes beyond pay. It's, look, we don't track vacation time. Like, and I know that's kind of a stigma when I've read memes online and all these things that you should never work for a company that says they don't track vacation. That means they're going to work you to the bone and then make you feel guilty. Right. But, like,
there's not gonna be time for vacation.
Like, quite literally on our side, our vacation approval process is put it in your calendar. Like, vacation approvals come through me, and my literal response is put it in your calendar. I'm not going to call you. I'm not going to email you. I'm not going to text you during that time. The thing is that I think the undervalued thing, or maybe a lot of things that people don't understand, is that when you're in startup mode, or even at our level, which is SMB level, there is so much to do all the time. And that, like, not holding traditional office hours really doesn't matter, because you've got to get your shit done. Like, there's so much to do all the time. And if I'm doing my job correctly and the rest of the C-suite is doing their job correctly, we are 90 days to 180 days out on everything. And so we're looking at things like, we're planning now for stuff in October and November and coming into December, and it doesn't stop. It's a cycle, and you don't ever reset. There's no reset at the beginning of the year. It just continues. And so if I can bring in a person to answer your question that, no, I can't pay you what you made at X brand. I literally can't come close to that. I can do 50% of that, or maybe 60 or 70% of that. But here's what I can do on the quality of life side. Like, take your vacations, do your things. Like, we're super relaxed company culture. And I think a lot of people, it's a breath of fresh air for a lot of people. We're incredibly approachable, very, very easy to work with on our side. There's only so much you can do.
So I have a 2-part question on that then. One, is that scalable? Because, you guys are fairly young, so are we.
Sure.
And how does that affect the standard? Everybody's got a standard. And that's something that I've struggled with. And, a lot of guys on our team are going to listen to this, and I don't mind. But I've kind of recently had a struggle with holding the standard in the office, to the point where I'm like, guys, our office hours are 8 to 4. Like, I would like you to be here at 8. If you walk in at 8:12, I'm not going to bust your balls about it. Whatever, traffic. We don't need to do that. But even then, sometimes I'm thinking, okay, well, if I'm going to let 8:12 go by, then it's going to be 8:30. It's going to be 8:40. You know what I mean?
Well, your
so like
standard's
as you
8
get
to 4.
bigger, you've got to hold that standard, or it's going to be out of control. You're never going to rein it in when there's issues with it. So, I guess one is that scalable? That mindset?
I think you earn
it's
it.
rhetorical. I know the answer.
Yeah.
And then how does it affect standard within your your support staff as you get bigger? Because as you get bigger, that's got to tighten.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think, is it scalable? Maybe. I think it depends on the company, right? I mean, we have office hours are 9 to 5, but I also know that I have learned over the years that, I travel a ton. Other people on my team travel a ton.
I'm similar to you.
And so respect. I know that, like, for instance, next week I leave on Wednesday. I don't come back on Sunday. I've got shit to do all week. I work the following weekend. So, like, you know what? I left at 1:30 yesterday. And, like, other members of my staff that may be traveling also, I think it's a give and take, right? Like, I've learned that you need to rest ahead of time when it comes to traveling, as opposed to try to catch up when you on the back end. But as far as holding the standard, you got to earn it. Like, I'm not bringing in a new hire, whether they're C-level or an intern, and saying, whatever hours you want, go to it. Like, I'm holding that standard. Office hours are 9 to 5. We go through the employee handbook with them. We work through all of those things. But then by year 2, 3, 4, by the time that person has proved it, right, I'm giving a little bit more leeway, because at the same time that I'm giving leeway, they're also taking on more responsibilities. And like I said earlier, there's so much shit to do that if you want, I don't care if you're working from the moon, like, get your shit done.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, whatever, our offices very come and go. We also run a commissary kitchen. And so there's a lot of traffic in and out of the office all the time. Sometimes you need deep focus work, and sometimes that happens from your home office. And so I'll tell people, like, I'll say, you need to go home because this needs to happen, or that needs to happen, or you just need time to decompress and deep focus work when there's not just this constant come and go. And you guys have a gigantic office, and I'm sure it's the same way.
It is, to an extent. I mean, it's not really abused at our office. Like, our team's pretty good for the most part.
I think they're phenomenal.
We go through spurts where I have to get everybody together and be like, okay, guys, like, we got to rein this in. We got to reset here a little bit. And
sorry, coach.
Yeah, yeah, but
you're very transparent up front when people are even interviewing, though. Like, we have, it's a more formal time structure. We're not. We're very loose, because I've seen, we always have room for improvement, but I've almost seen less work come out of our team when there is too much office time, because there's too much screwing around.
There's too much.
And so we did a hybrid, and they have a required set of hours. They have to be in the office, so we have that cross-pollination, and you can get a hold of. But totally different business there.
I think with creatives, though, you got to have that, because they'll lose time. And I see it.
You see, like, giggling and like, it's a lot.
And like our current VP of marketing right now, she noticed it right off the bat. She stepped into that role. And she was like, look, a lot of the work gets delayed because these guys will sit there. They're not bullshitting. They are, but it's work related. And they're doing conceptual ideas. They're brainstorming. Right. Next thing you know, 2 hours went by and no productivity got done.
Right. And because they're all doing it, it's accepted. Like, that's the thing. Like, when when they choose to isolate and say, hey, do you mind if I go to the coffee shop across the street because I want to knock out this web project, or can I work from home because this thing's due tomorrow? So as long as it's done with quality, ethics, and delivered on time, my world, that's different than what you got. You need to run a tight ship because of your structure, but.
Well, we kind of digress there, but getting back to compensation and whether or not somebody knows when and how to pay executive leadership coming in, My opinion is it's always based off their need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're a young company, or I'll use franchising, that's what we always talk about. You know, if you've only got 6, 7, 8, 9 units, you're not paying somebody 150,
No,
200K
hell no.
a year
No.
out of the gate. And so you've got to learn how to step in, take those small steps. And then when you get to a point where you've got to pay a big exec to come in and make some big changes, some big lifts, that whole equity conversation comes into play.
Yeah.
It scares the death out of everybody. To this day, still scares the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I haven't figured it out. Like, if there was a time where I ever had to go and hire another CEO or a new CEO for the brand, that conversation is gonna have to happen.
Of course.
And it always scares the shit out of Yvonne and I, because we're like, we spent 13 years building this brand, and for an executive C-suite level guy to come in and want 1 to 2 to 3% equity right out of the gate, I struggle with that.
I don't blame you, man. I mean,
Struggle with that.
we've had that conversations with previous members of our team, and I still am of the mindset of you got to earn it, and I also think it rewinds things at the size business you are too, because if you're looking for someone to come in and oversee $150 million business, that's far different from where we're at, which is $25 to $35 million business, which is, I don't need an ex exec from Cava or Chipotle. I actually need more VP and director levels, because
Yes.
Somebody that's
honestly,
gonna roll up their sleeves and get dirty.
that's right.
Yeah.
Because that's where the real work gets done. We all know that. Like, in early stage, I was the director, the VP, the FBC. I was all the things. So I know what kind of those jobs look like. And I understand that where the real work gets done is there. Now, that's not taking away from the C-level or senior VP or whatever it may be, but that's what I need now. And that compensation is much less, obviously. There's never an equity conversation over those roles. And so I think it's all about the scalability and exactly where you are in your process, in your journey of growing the company.
The one thing that I've had to come to terms with at the size that we are right now, we're at that like tipping point,
Yeah.
right? Where I have to look at that conversation and go, okay, if I can bring in a C-suite level employee or, leadership guy, and they can improve unit economics by X.
Yes, that's
To
right.
create an evaluation of X, you've got to evaluate that.
That's
and
right.
Say, is that worth it to me or not?
That's a good looking
Because
spreadsheet.
you're giving
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
You know what I
that's-
mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And for a lot of guys, that's the way they look at it too.
Yeah,
and
of
I'm not
course.
demonizing them for that.
No, but in your case, as the franchisor, it's like it's a lot easier to say, okay, you get 2 to 3% if you're bringing us in an additional 20. Like,
You're paying your way.
yeah, you're paying your way, and you guys are profiting
You're right.
personally.
But what I've never seen done, still to this day, I've never seen it structured this way. It's not to say that it hasn't. I've just never seen it. Is most of the time the way those deals are structured is they'll get 1 to 3, just call it 1 to 3%. It's vested out over a year,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no metrics put to it. It's a timeline.
It's time. It's
I don't
12
ever
months.
see anybody go, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and this is what I'm going to hit. And if I don't hit it, then you don't owe me.
I've seen some compensation packages that way.
It's like
You
a
have?
performance
I
bonus.
have
Yeah.
yet to see it.
Yeah, I've seen some compensation packages that way. It's kind of an earn it principle, right? Where you're saying if you can grow the business to by X number of $1 million, that means it's another half point. If you can grow it by Y, that means it's another half
I've seen
point.
private equity buyouts like that where they'll keep the
Right.
former.
Right.
But
With
you're
the
right.
callbacks
It's
and
to
all
your
those
to Don's
things.
point. Right now, it's all a signing bonus model. It's like you're getting it because you came on our team,
Right.
and
And that's
You can
based
get
off
injured.
past experience, like I said
Yeah.
earlier.
That's exactly right. It's scary.
It is very
yeah,
good.
you're right. Like,
Yeah.
and you're only basing
Right.
on what their portfolio says,
Right.
and you haven't had them in the brand. You haven't embedded them in the culture. You haven't. Yeah, it's a risk. I don't envy you guys. We finally, as an agency, brought in a director, an executive director, and Jonathan, like you said, like it's been Sarah, myself, for
Mhm.
years, for
Mhm.
18 years, and it's very odd. We're not at a C-suite, but we're at a director level. It's been very odd to turn things over to that particular person.
And saying like, you mean you can do this?
It's bizarre,
Like-
man. Yeah, like it's meeting with franchises, it's managing the team and getting in the dirt.
Right.
You're
That's
right,
what
and-
counts, man.
Yeah, and I'm kind of where at a much smaller level where
Mhm.
Don's at with I can manage a handful of higher ups on our team who then can manage. But I was same boat, man. It's growth. But
That's one thing Yvonne and I have struggled with.
Handing off.
She'll tell you the exact same thing if she was sitting here. We're so embedded in the trenches with these guys that sometimes it's a fault, right? Where we're at times we're terrible delegators, and just giving these people the rope to kind of go see if they can do it or not.
It's your baby.
Because we're like, all right, I'm gonna help them do this because I don't want to fuck it up.
But I also think that's a founder mentality, right? Like, because you guys grew it, you were there. I'm not a founder of Shuck and Shack, and so it was a lot different for me coming in from the outside cold. Like, I was a customer that became CEO, and so for me, it was different. It was saying, like, I can look at things from a calculated way and say, this is not being done correctly, and here's how I know. And so let's adjust that. Whereas on you guys' side, it's like, we know it works, so we just need to hang on to it. And you got to figure out. I mean, I'm not.
And you defined it. Yeah, it works,
Right.
and we defined it.
Right.
And I'm in, again, to your point, Jonathan, I almost wish I had that third party perspective of someone who knew the business, but didn't like create
Someone willing to
business
learn
delivered.
the business.
Heck
and
yeah,
then
because
not,
there's no emotion. I mean, I got
To
yelled
be
at
an
yesterday.
extension of you.
Yeah.
right.
You need to be an extension of
And-
them.
I got
to
yelled
not
at
bring in the
yesterday by this
sledgehammer.
director because I was insisting on stuff, and they're like, "Get out of my way!" And I was like, "This is kind of sad. I'm beautiful."
I've been told that so many times. You guys need to find an extension of you.
That's
I'm
beautiful.
like,
yeah.
I get it. I understand that. I have the knowledge, the tools, and the know-how to do that. I don't know if anybody can actually physically do that. And I'm not being arrogant when I say that.
No, I think it's
Yeah.
realistic to
It's
say.
just
Yeah.
when you've built this thing from the ground up,
They haven't been
Well,
through-
especially the beast that it is now.
Yeah.
Like the thought process of coming in, it's almost like you want to find this VP level or director level that comes in and just smokes everyone, right? They just come in, they learn every facet of the business, and you're like, we don't need to prevent them from doing anything.
The magic
like,
bullet,
just
man.
go,
It's like you
go,
said,
go.
it's
But that
not
person doesn't
there.
exist, or maybe it's a group of people. That's tough.
I told
man.
Yvonne yesterday. We were meeting, and I was like, we were talking about other businesses we know, young businesses doing great. You talk, and I was like, but I still feel like survival is success. It's a big part, and no
Oh my
one would
gosh,
ever be able to
yes.
come into Clean Eats and be like, emulate when you had to go through a pandemic with the food and hospitality business, and like how
Oh
you
my
stayed
God.
alive, pivoted.
Yeah.
No one's gonna have that trial. There's
I
there's
get
no
it.
one like that except you and Yvonne. Or
The survival part, yeah. Survival is success. I mean,
Yeah.
you see that, especially in the last 18 months on the restaurant side. I mean,
man,
so many bankruptcies, so many closures, and like there's something to be said of knowing who you are, doubling down on that, growing your business, and doing it 365 days a year, and then finding people that will buy into that same mindset and saying, you know what, today was a great day. We accomplished X, Y,
Yeah.
and Z. Tomorrow's a reset.
keep
Let's go
stacking
again.
small wins,
That's
baby.
it. That's it.
Well, I want to talk about resources for a second. Recruiters, headhunters, and how people can use these to their benefit, but when they're ready to do it, almost. Do you guys have one that you use consistently, or you just...
We've never used a recruiter. Of any hires that we have made have honestly come from LinkedIn or Indeed or references. Just people knowing someone is unhappy at brand X and, hey, do you want to meet later? Like, let's just chat. And for us, that's worked. We're a much smaller team than you guys are, but for us, it's worked really well because, again, working on references with vendors, it translates for us into the hiring side, because I know that if I have an employee, especially at the C level or VP level, that's vouching for this other person and saying, I think they would fit really well here. If I can get in front of that person and ask them, what do you want to do?
Mhm.
And if it matches what kind of the vision is for the company, then that's kind of how I approach it. We don't work with recruiters. We have not. Not saying that we won't, but we have not.
I think for me, it's been a mixed bag. I've had extremely good success with them, and then I've also not. And that's probably normal. That's probably not anything earth-shattering. I'd have a really good guy that I've used for, hourly staff, management staff at the restaurant level. I'm like, the guy that I use, I'm batting 1,000. I've never fired a person that he has recruited to me.
That's great.
wild.
man. Yeah.
That's
And then, the guy that I use for upper level management, I've gotten some good ones, gotten some bad ones. So I don't know. The advice that I would give anybody listening to this is, again, it goes with everything. You got to first figure out, focus on what your need is, and then figure out the best resource to use. But I don't want to say not to use a recruiter, because I've had some really, really damn good luck with them too. And then looking at, can you afford the fee or not?
Yeah,
'Cause,
that's right. It's a pretty high percentage. That can be a big number.
I guess I want to give away some kind of takeaways and with this whole conversation. So what are 3 big ones? If you had to give anybody advice, what are 3 nuggets you'd give them when it comes to finding VP level, C-suite level employees?
Hire for culture. On your side, determine, do only what only you can do, and then delegate out the rest, and make sure that what you're handing out is to that C-suite or VP level person. So hire for culture, do only what you can do, hand out the rest. And then the final one is everything's negotiable. I mean, truly, everything's negotiable.
What was the quote you just said a minute ago to put on a T-shirt? I loved it. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah,
it's too long.
Yeah,
but it's strong. Good. Give
So
it to us
about
again.
competency.
Experience is only necessary when
If
competency
yeah.
isn't available.
That's good. All right, man. Well, I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
I know you got to get to a meeting here, so we'll wrap it up.
This
But
is fun.
where can people find you and get a hold of you? if they
I'm
need
active
to?
on LinkedIn. You can shoot me a message. I'll probably tell you no thanks if you're reaching out for a sales call. But other than that, theshuckandshack.com.
Awesome. Do you answer DMs on LinkedIn?
Every single one.
You do.
Every single one.
I don't. I delete them.
You delete them.
I don't even open them.
Well, I've been
swipe over.
I've been in sales and I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to have a no.
I
Like,
have a person on our team that does
Yeah.
it for me, Courtney. And she's phenomenal, but I'm in the same boat for business development. It's like I don't want to not.
So I'm a dickhead then, pretty much.
You don't need the DMs as much. yeah. I delete them.
It's just annoying, man. Like when you start following somebody or somebody requests
You're a
to follow you
CEO
or
now,
something,
Don. You got to answer DMs.
It
on LinkedIn.
automatically comes with a direct message. Hey, do you have 10 minutes?
Yeah,
Oh,
5 to 10
I
minutes. I'll
delete
have a
that.
quick call. Yeah.
Not
No,
cold
it gets
calls.
annoying.
I'm talking, but if someone's like someone through someone. it's
no,
like,
I answer cold ones too.
Oh wow,
I'll just say no thanks.
you're a saint.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I've been in
You are a saint.
sales on the sales side. I would rather hear
You
a
respect.
no
I do the cold call. Yeah,
than leave it unanswered.
I'll answer.
I don't
cold
want
calls,
to be
yeah.
a maybe lead in a system. I want to be either a dead lead or I
Yeah.
want to be a hot lead. Most of the time I'm a dead lead, but
I'll try to be more respectful, I guess. I've always hated LinkedIn, but I've started to become a little bit more active on it because I think the platform's changed a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
it has.
It's
It
not
has,
what
for
it's
sure.
it's not what it used to be. So you've convinced me to have a little more compassion.
Answer your cold calls.
Well, thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Jonathan. Appreciate you,
Yeah.
man.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys. Till next time.